Hey guys, it's Akali here again, once again with another one of my Walking Dead Season 4 video reviews. Today we're going to be reviewing Season 4 episode number 3, Isolation. As always, please remember there are spoilers in the time period of this review, so if you complain about spoilers below, it's not my problem. Sorry to be rude, but you watch the video. But anyway, this is going to be my recap and reviews, a recap and a review of the episode. Let me just first off by saying this is very much so a Tyrese, Carol, and Herschel centric episode. They're like the three core characters that are make on me. Yes, we get some development for other characters, but it's mostly those three. Just it's about this episode is about them. Um, and let me just say, this is a very exciting episode. We get to see a lot of things that we were really looking forward to this season. Um, More development from Tyrese. Tyrese, awesome character development. We also learn the killer this episode, which I will talk about later, and the infection is spread. Isolation, the title of the episode, refers to the fact that basically uh, people are being isolated in cell block A, which is death row. Um, but anyway, this reference uh, is it's just talking about this. It's one of the key points of this episode. So anyway, without a further ado, let's get into the recap of the episode. Coming off the ending last week where Tyrese finds Karen and David's dead, burnt corpses, Tyrese is emotionally struck. But he goes and finds Rick, Carol, and Daryl, and they're out there in the courtyard with him. And uh, Tyrese is obviously emotionally distraught. I'm gonna be talking about like the Tyrese scenes first. So we have all this going on. Tyrese, his character development this episode. Well, anyway, Tyrese demands that Rick find who finds demands that they find who killed Karen and David. He turns violent. He Tyrese turns violent because he's emotionally distraught. And basically they get in a fight. They start a fight, and Rick damages his hand, which is like the comic when he beats up Thomas Richards, who kills a couple of characters in the comics. He did have a TV series counterpart, but there was a Tomis in the last season, one of the prison survivors, Thomas Richards. He was referred into the Walking Dead video game, but enough of that tangent. Anyway, this is a very exciting scene, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes this episode. I really enjoy this episode. I'll say that at the end. But this episode has so many memorable scenes in it, and just scenes that would make the just make this season's Walking Dead highlights. But anyway, uh, Tyrese comes out of it with a black eye, so they go off their separate ways, and there's that whole thing. Um, Continuing through the episode, uh, just continuing down the road, Dr. S and Herschel, they're talking about the uh, flu situation, and uh, they have to put down another one of the unnamed background characters. That's probably one of the only two people that die this episode. There's only two people, and they're unnamed prison survivors. Um, Basically, Herschel, Dr. S, they're talking about go, uh, going on about the flu situation. Um, Herschel repairs Rick's hand, which is a scene from the comics. Um, Tyrese is going crazy. He's digging digging a giant hole for Karen and David. He's going crazy, digging graves. Bob approaches him and basically Tyrese to go and see Herschel about to get himself fixed up, get more development to show that Bob cares about Tyrese and is his friend. And Tyrese is basically not doesn't want to even do it. He's digging graves for Karen and David. So there we have that whole thing. Um, and Bob helps him dig. Next, we get a key scene in the episode. Herschel and Glenn are talking about everything, all the events that occurred, and Sasha comes up sick. We saw this in the trailers. We saw her going to Cell Block A to see Dr. S. So we know she's not good, and that is not going to help with Tyrese's mental state going on right now. Um, and then as we go to the meeting of the committee, basically the council, Glenn. Okay, this is part. Uh, we know that Glenn is getting. I screamed no. Literally, I screamed at my television when I saw this happen. Glenn is now has the flu. Basically, I screamed at my television for like 5 minutes, because I got really mad. Hopefully they don't kill Glenn off. I'll have a video discussing Glenn and Sasha and the impact they'll have this season. I may release that video or maybe talk about it in the prediction sections of this video. But yeah, that whole I don't know what's gonna happen there. Lizzie gets sick. So Carol Lizzie development, more Carol and Lizzie development. Uh, Carol is outside the prison fence and basically is a, almost dies trying to save her, but they handle the walkers, of course. And while she's getting water, messing with the water bucket, Tyrese comes up behind her and says, "Ask her to take care of Sasha." And uh, Carol has a breakdown, and Tyrese accuses Rick of stuff he didn't commit and all this stuff. Tyrese is basically kind of mad at Rick at the moment. Carl, this is the first mention of Carl we get this episode. Carl, Rick, Rick, the children go into isolation. Carl, uh, Carl, Judith, Herschel, everyone like that are going there. We have um, a very emotional. Then we have a very emotional scene. We're getting ready to go on a supply run because Herschel suggests about going to a college, a medical college, to go on a run to get medical supplies. Basically, Daryl, Michonne, and Bob are going on it, and then Tyrese is discussing with Sasha, basically having an emotional scene where he talks to her and everything about her being sick, and it's very emotional for Tyrese. Tyrese gets a lot of great character development this episode, um, and so yeah, Tyrese gets convinced to go on the run, um, and basically he tells bye to Sasha. Um, Herschel decides to leave the prison to go get elderberries for elderberries to make tea to help out with the sick, the sickly survivors in cell block A. Uh, they go outside and Carl, Carl and Herschel have a development scene where Carl basically wants to put down some walkers, but Herschel says he doesn't need to, and they don't do it, and they leave. Um, as Herschel says, makes a comment about how it would be sometimes safer outside the wall, but then Carl says it's a lot safer in there than it is outside. Then we get a Rick cop investigation scene, still doing more investigation than Batman in the Dark Knight trilogy. Um, so, uh, and he discovers that there is a noticeably smaller footprint or handprint. So the killer might have been female, and I don't know who he's thinking at that moment, but we don't. I'll tell you about who did it. Um, Maggie comes up to Herschel and talks to him about. Uh, Herschel Maggie confronts her dad Herschel about going into A block, and Herschel, great moment this episode. The Herschel's little speech about how he should help. His speech, um, basically, I'm gonna go find the quote here on Walking Dead Wiki. I use it for my information. Let me see here. It says, I want to find his quote. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I had the. Okay. Basically, he explains that he can risk his life. He should risk his life to help others, and I don't remember the exact quote. It's a pretty powerful one for Walking Dead. Probably going to be one of the best quotes of this season. Uh, so yeah, I forgot to mention Dr. S is sick now. When Sasha went there, that he was sick. So um, we have three more sick people of the main group, like that we actually have named characters. Basically, Herschel goes in here. We get a great scene between Herschel, Dr. S. Dr. S. He gives Dr. S the tea, and basically he coughs blood on his face, and he wipes it. Just takes off his bandana used to keep from getting airborne, and wipes it off of his face. And then we have Glenn. He goes to Glenn and gives Glenn encouragement. We know he treats him like a son. Uh, like he treats him like a son. We have that whole scene, and Herschel is probably probably my favorite. Well, I'm not gonna say character. He's this episode. I'll go do that when I do the recap and review. I am doing a recap. Then we to go to the big. We're going on the supply run with the four people with Daryl, Michonne, Bob, and Tyrese. And then they hear a voice on the radio. It says "Sanctuary, Sanctuary, Survive." It was kind of messed up for this episode. We heard more in the trailer, but they kind of scrambled it so just to make us keep on wondering. Um, and let's see. Basically, they run into walkers. Daryl isn't paying attention, and he hits walkers on the road. And we run into the zombie herd, the biggest herd of 7,500 walkers. That's the approximate number. Um, Basically, they get stuck in there. We're in a crowd. They back up over zombies in that zombie head spinning scene that we saw from the trailer. I personally don't think they should have put that in the trailer because I would have been much more shocked by that zombie kill if they wouldn't have had to do that. Um, and Next and then they all get out. Daryl, Michonne, and Bob get out of the car and start taking out walkers, and they have to ditch. By the way, this is Zach from the first episode's car who died. It's a pretty nice car. We got some interesting dialogue with that whole uh, tidbit there. Um, Tyrese is just in the car, just shaking and just like, I can't make it. He's like, that's the voice I'm literally gonna say that in. He's in a stupor, which is what it says on the Walking Dead wiki. Credit to whoever wrote that on the Walking Dead wiki. Recap for the episode. So anyway, Tyrese gets snapped out of it by Bob because uh, apparent in the trailer we couldn't tell what he was saying, but he was saying Ty, which is short for Tyrese. Since they're friends, he has a name for him. They have a nickname for him, and basically Tyrese gets out of the car. When Tyrese gets out of the car, he starts going crazy. He's surrounded by walkers. He goes crazy on them with Tyrese's hammer. This was probably this was an anticipated moment because I have read the comics, and it's one of the greatest scenes in the comics, I think, at least in my personal opinion, where Tyrese was in the gym surrounded by walkers and he makes it out because of his craziness. But basically, he makes it. Bob and Daryl and Michonne run off, and he is running. They run back into the woods, but they hear noises in the bushes. A couple of walkers come out, but then the one behind the front walker gets killed, and we see that Tyrese has survived. Um, so Tyrese comes out and he's like shaking and everything. Um, he's alive. He doesn't have any scratches on him, but they keep moving because that giant herd is chasing them, and we get our zombie kill of the week, which was on. It was the one Michonne did with the walker that was in front of Tyrese after we were shown he survived. Um, definitely. After that scene, we're left wondering what happened to the uh, Splinter Cell group or Supply Run group. Um, And then we have our final scenes, final few scenes of the episode, where Rick and Carl have some interesting dialogue. Uh, basically, Rick comes out to Carol wondering what she's doing, uh, and then Rick confronts Carol, question her, and he asks her the question: Did she kill Karen and David? And she answers, yes. So that was the end of the episode. We know that Carol killed Karen and David now. At least we think we do. There's another interesting theory that's out there, um, and that leaves a lot of questions. Uh, obviously, Tyrese is distraught by this death, the killings. Um, he he looks up to Carol to protect Sasha. So that is it's going to be very bad when Tyrese finds out. I don't think Tyrese could leave it to himself to kill Carol, because he said he we if remember in the comics when his daughter and I'm not going to spoil what happens in the comics, but he kills a certain person. Um, who killed his daughter basically, and you'll have to read the comics to find out what goes on with that whole thing. Um, but uh, and yeah, I don't think Tyrese would do that. Um, so obviously, uh, that that raises a lot of questions. Uh, Another theory, Carol just answered yes. We have seen obviously that she's a hardened character. Um, I personally don't like her this season. I kind of want her to bite the dust, to put it in a analogy. I don't really like her character. I've never really liked her. I mean, yes, she's developed as a character. She's had more interest this season. Uh, Last season, she caused the death of T Dog. Rest in peace, T Dog. You're a good dude. You died for Carol. But to see her do this, oh boy. Uh, in the first season, she was like acting all domestic abuse victim type thingy with Ed and that dude with him. Um, she wasn't very strong in the first season. Well, she was strong, but in a different way. Now she's just kind of emotionless. Well, she does cry and she has a breakdown about 2/3 of the way through the episode. Um, or or two, three. How would you put this? 2 or 3 fifths through the episode. Probably 3 fifths. But or something like that. But anyway, uh, it's just I just don't like her character right now. But she does get a lot of character development, a lot of good character development this episode. We definitely get to see her break down, break down with the Tyrese, this situation that she's dragged herself into, trying to protect the group from the disease. Um, so there's that whole thing. But anyway, my review for the episode. I love this episode. It was an amazing and excellent episode. Definitely better than a lot of most of the uh, monotonous episodes we got in season 3. This season is is much better than season 3. I'm glad they changed showrunners, and Scott M. Gimple is the saving grace. Has been the great saving grace on the show. Season 3 didn't feel right to me. They just killed their the deaths really didn't mean anything in the season. Well, except T Dog. T Dog's death. I was sad for that death. Um, and Andrea's death last year. Spoilers. Well, that wouldn't make any sense. You probably, if you're watching this, you've probably seen episode or seen season 3. And anyway, that didn't her death really didn't mean anything in the context of the show. Yes, Michonne was sad about it, but it, the governor whole plot didn't work out really. That it didn't work out well. Um, so we have that whole situation. Um, really love this episode. No major deaths. Excellent episode. Oh, Tyrese, this episode, so much development, so much great development. He is probably the best character this episode and one of my favorites this season. He's just been a really enjoyable character to watch this season. And where is he gonna go? Is he gonna get killed off by the governor in a prison assault, or is he gonna get captured in the supply run they're right on now? I don't know where that's gonna go. Hopefully they keep him around longer, so Rick and Tyrese can become friends, and Tyrese may become his right hand man. Maybe started off their relationship kind of rocky, and then it gets better as it goes along. I just want to see him uh, just continue to be an awesome character. Great acting on his part. Reaction to the death. I really could see the emotional trauma he was going through, how he was basically losing his mind because he hasn't really experienced trauma. His backstory from season 3, we learned that basically he had been hiding out the entire apocalypse, and then he was at a camp where a bunch of people got killed, but he really wasn't emotionally invested with those people. So he really hasn't lost anyone per se. Maybe he had friends and stuff, but he hasn't cried for them because he doesn't know if they're dead. But amazing character for him. Um, Herschel this episode, gotta love Herschel's speech. Gotta love Herschel's character. So far this season, he, Tyrese, and Bob Stuckey are probably my favorite characters on the show at the current moment. Um, maybe added. I don't. And just so you know, I'm not a Daryl fanboy. Daryl can bite the dust. We're gonna get Abraham later this season. It's gonna if there's gonna be 3 right hand men with Rick, I'm gonna I'm gonna face palm just Sir Patrick Stewart face palm or whatever it is, Picard face palm whatever. I'm sorry, that was awkward. But overall, great development, great Herschel dialogue and Herschel speech. Herschel has really become a greater character. Season 2, he wasn't all that great. He wasn't really different from his character comic book counterpart. Then they killed Dale off. And he became the voice of reason for Rick and the voice of wiseness, the wise old man of the group. Um, hopefully, he's probably gonna bite the dust, but hopefully they don't kill him off before Christmas, because I do not want to see that. It'll be a year without a Santa Claus. It's gonna be such a sad Christmas because we're gonna lose Herschel. Uh, okay. Um, the and then we get Carol development, which I already talked about. Good character development, but I can't stand Carol, to be honest. comic comic book or TV series for just some reason. She's just not the character type I've liked. Or Andrea in the comic book as far as females is comic book and TV series, comic book Andrea is definitely one of the best. Um, Michonne's pretty good in the TV series. She's probably going to take over Andrea's role as far as the uh, awesome chick or what, like the female, the main female survivor, like not just like take care of everyone, just the actiony female survivor. Um, but we have that whole thing going on. Amazing writing on the writer's part, keeping this episode very suspenseful. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time I was watching this episode. I was like, no, no one died. No, Glenn. No, not Glenn. No, not Herschel. I was seriously doing that. I was like talking to myself talking to myself and talking out loud. Well, it was when no one was home, so it wasn't that bad. But a very great, awesome episode, epic, amazing episode. Definitely the best of season 4, up there with some of the greatest Walking Dead episodes. The writers have really took off this year. Showrunner, thanks in part to showrunner Scott M. Gimple. Glad we're getting him back for the 5th season, so we continue this style where we have an anticipation build up. Like, not many major character deaths at the beginning. They don't need to keep killing people off left and right. Yes, we're gonna have the mid-season finale, which is rumored to have a whole bunch of people die. But a whole bunch of survivors. I mean, but just amazing episode. With everything. Well, I've just repeated that for the 3rd time. Um, and this episode keeps the quality up high, suspense, and everything about The Walking Dead. It amplifies everything about The Walking Dead. The season has been exponentially, uh, different tone wise and just action wise. Yes, we have more walkers and action to appeal to some audiences, but we still have the emotion and impact. Yes, some people have compared it to a soap opera, but it's the unique character development if you're gonna run a TV show. It's not a movie. Like, yes, you have character development in movies, but oftentimes most movies are just a singular form unless it's um a action, like a timeline, an actual timeline, like a sci-fi timeline, like a Whedon verse or type thing or something like that. Um, but overall, I would just give this a 9.5 out of 10. Because it's an amazing episode. I've that's the 4th time I've said that. But anyway, my predictions are for next episode. Yes, we're gonna get some new survivors next episode. We're gonna get the Carol and Rick run because of the group. Obviously, that other group that went out, the 4-person group that went out, isn't going to be back in time, so they're going out to get some more medical supplies, maybe to help Herschel or just help at the prison. And then we're gonna probably see an intensification in the Glenn Sasha thing. Maybe there was gonna be there's not gonna be enough medical supplies to go around type deal, and they'll have to choose one. And then someone's gonna go over the edge after that episode. Maybe crazy or something. Maybe Tyrese goes over the edge or Maggie goes over the edge. Because Maggie, we all know in the comics, gets really sad after the prison while they're on the road. Almost to the point where she commits suicide. So, um, hopefully they don't kill off Glenn. And I've heard Sasha's gonna stay around and maybe develop a romance with Bob Stuckey. I've heard that was like a rumor on somewhere. I saw a rumor somewhere that that was gonna happen. But that's basically my predictions for next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this video recap and review of The Walking Dead. Remember to comment, rate, and subscribe below. I need all the support I can get. Follow me on Twitter, where I'll discuss Walking Dead with you. Like my Facebook page. Nothing much there, but it's still nice to see um, people showing feedback. Um, but this has been Akaldi for now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.